haven't talked about Doctor Who in a very long time. There's a lot of good reason for that. I'm firstly going to get out of the way what I think about having a female Doctor, Jodie Whittaker playing the Doctor. Obviously there was a lot of controversy as to whether or not it was right to have a female Doctor, whether or not it was appropriate and all this sort of thing. Two thoughts on this. One is that the Doctor is an alien and therefore probably has no concept of gender and doesn't really care. There are kind of hints at the fact that the Doctor has been a woman before, and therefore the kind of controversy about the Doctor being a woman is completely moot, just due to the fact that the Doctor has kind of hinted to being a woman before. So there's that. So for me it made no sense as to why people were getting angry about it. Secondly, on a more personal note for me, I started watching the show when I was about 12 or 13, and I got really, really obsessed with it. Like, I may or may not have got a little bit too obsessed with it. I did actually go and get that tattoo done on the 50th anniversary of the show, and I have got zero shame about it. When I was 12 or 13, I really grew fond of the show, and I really felt like it was a show for me, and that it was the first thing that I had that represented being a smart girl. It was the first thing that I was really able to watch that represented being smart and being a girl and being clever and being a little bit eccentric. Hermione Granger didn't really do that for me. The Princess Diaries encouraged Mia to change who she was in order to be accepted, and it didn't really sing the right tune for me, as it were. So the fact that there's actually now a character that represents girls in a way that is three-dimensional rather than just based on her looks is really, really important to me. I'm going to move on from that part because I could go on about that for ages. My thoughts on the first episode of the new series with Jodie Whittaker was that I felt a true sense of nostalgia. I felt a true sense of the series going back to its roots in terms of, it felt very similarly written to that of Russell T Davies and Julie, who really set a different sort of tone for the new Doctor Who back in 2005. It really gave me a sense of a Doctor who is very war-torn and very sort of shell-shocked by all the things that have happened to them. And so when we got given Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi, and it just felt very silly and PC and almost a bit too child-friendly, I really lost sight of what the hell they were trying to do with the series. It felt as if the BBC saw that there were loads of families watching it, so they had to play up to that, and they had to play up to the fact that it was families watching it, therefore making the monsters less scary, and for there to be very little, if no, death in the episodes whatsoever. One of the things that really felt important to me with the series is the fact that there is a sense of morality and there is a sense of danger. The truth of the matter is, without death, without something that poses a risk to survival, there is no point in the series, really. The whole point is that the Doctor is going to different planets, different times, and there is a threat of dying. There's a threat of something happening which is going to challenge the existence of the planet all the time that they're going to. So the fact that the morality was taken away from it made no sense to me. It was put back in the episode. So there were a couple of deaths in the episode, and there was a sense of real danger in it. The bad guy in it is brilliant. Like, oh my word. I'm so pleased that they went back to actually just doing prosthetics with the actors themselves rather than using CG. That's probably one of the things I really enjoy about the series, is that sometimes there is very little CGI done and there's more prosthetics and makeup done on the actors playing the monster, and that sometimes is a work of genius. One of the episodes that I find really rings true to that is the New Earth episode with the the one with the cat nuns, where they've got like these beautifully made prosthetics, and it's all fur, and the habits are kind of placed in such a way that you literally just see the face, and all the rest of it is habit. I think that's such a beautiful way of using prosthetics, and it meant that you could see the actors' expressions, you could see in their eyes, you could see what they were trying to portray in the character. Now, the episode itself, I was a little bit hesitant to see what I thought of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor straight off the bat. I didn't want to judge until towards the end of the episode, so we'll leave that for now. But I'm very pleased that Bradley Wiggins' character wasn't too silly. He comes across as he's going to be this sort of like grumpy granddad character who's asking the really basic questions, really asking the things that maybe the grown-ups are thinking, going, well, that seems silly, or why are you doing this? It seems a bit impulsive. And actually, I think that gives you a sense of, whilst you've got these young companions as well, you've also got the older viewers who may be going, well, I don't understand why this is happening, but then the Doctor will answer that in later episodes, I suspect. I love the fact that there is a character with a hidden disability, but he's not portrayed as being truly inspirational. As someone who has got a very hidden, very mild disability, representation in that sense is really, really good and accurate, because we don't see ourselves as being inspirational, we don't see ourselves as being put on a pedestal, we just live our lives day to day, and we have added limitations than most normal people day to day that we just have to adapt to, and that's something that the programme addresses so beautifully and so tactfully. There could have been a real danger that the writers took it a bit too far and said, well, he's kind of going to be a bit of a hindrance to the way the story plays out, and we're going to have to kind of tone back what we do, but they don't at all, and that's really, I think it's very forward thinking, and it's very tactful and respectful of how people have got disabilities, and it's inclusive. Now, I really want to talk about the writing. Now, I find that the writing is just as, if not tiny bit more important than how the actual episode is executed, because if it's not written right and the tone's not set right, you're going to lose your audience straight away. I'm in love with Chris Chibnall's writing. Oh my god, so clever, got the tone spot on. I knew that he'd written for Broadchurch, I knew that he was very, very good with the suspense and the darkness side of Doctor Who on point, because he was, but also he wrote for Torchwood. Now, I don't think I could think of anything better as a practice run for how you're going to write for Doctor Who later on. Not only that, he's worked with David Tennant, worked with Jodie Whittaker on Broadchurch, so he's going to know the tone of what he wants to set out for Doctor Who. He also knows what the actors how they might want to play such a character and how they think it should be written. So in that sense, I've got a lot of confidence for how he might then write it. Not only that, is that he's got a team of amazing writers. He's got people like Mallory Blackman involved. Chibnall's also managed to get such a bigger writer as Mallory Blackman involved. She's not going to be an in-house permanent member of the writing team, however she's going to play a big part in how the overall arc is going to work. One of the things that I really like about Chibnall's work as well is that as far as I'm aware, Chibnall seems to be hinting at the fact that he's going to continue with having red threads involved in the series, which, as we know, worked really well in the Torchwood series, worked very well in the Doctor Who series back when Russell T Davies and Julie Gardner were writing, and it gives me a great deal of confidence that the red threads will be really solid and they'll make sense, and we're not going to have a repeat of the River Song saga. So the bit that we were all hoping was going to work out right in the episode itself was Jodie Whittaker's Doctor going to be as good as we expected? For me, yes. For me, she was a perfect fit Doctor so far. She reminded me very much of Christopher Eccleston's kind of humour, the dryness, the kind of dark mortality side of things, in which, you know, there is a threat that something could happen, something bad could happen, but she's very apologetic about it and she doesn't want anything to happen. She's very similar, her regeneration was very similar to David Tennant's regeneration, in which he's talking about 1,000 miles a minute and then suddenly crashes and then says something really quirky and weird and kind of reformats his head a little bit. And it's very similar style in all of the Doctors, that's the kind of model that they base that part of the Doctor's character on. Is pretty similar all the way through. In terms of her down to her inflections and the way she holds herself, the way that she doesn't hide her accent either. Even though David Tennant is Scottish, he decides he's not going to use his accent. He decides to speak with a more English accent, and that's his choice. Jodie decided not to do that. She decided to use her own accent, and actually I think that kind of ties the Doctor's dry, droll humour in the Doctor's voice, and oddly enough that's something that's very well pitched by someone with a northern accent. Jodie Whittaker is still a good choice for me as a Doctor. The writers are certainly a good choice. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Chibnall does with his writing, with the red threads in this story and in the series. But I'm hoping that there is a definite mix of more sort of like dark but occasionally funny episodes. I'd rather it wasn't too PC and too child friendly the whole way through. I want kids to hide behind the sofa. I want to be hiding behind the sofa again. So that was my thoughts on the new episode of Doctor Who and generally what is happening with the series. I think I'm probably going to carry on watching it. I'm quite happy to carry on watching it. I have a lot of confidence in the series. Let me know your thoughts in the comments about the series. I've just opened up a whole can of worms.